Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. Commissioner, thank you for taking time with us. As you've noted, a cardiologist, also spending time in mental health stress units. I think that part of what I'm going to talk with you about would come directly to observations that you may strongly identify with. In August of last year, Assistant Secretary for Health Levine sent Drug Enforcement Administration Agency Director Ann Milgram a recommendation from the FDA to downgrade marijuana, also THC, from Schedule 1 to Schedule 3 under the Controlled Substances Act. This recommendation made the claim that marijuana meets the criteria for control under Section 3. In reviewing the FDA's recommendation, I believe that the FDA did not base its assessment in scientific fact or realities of how marijuana is being abused and used in our country today. The FDA's assessment relied on, I think, cherry-picked data. For example, concluding in the report that since the potential for abuse of marijuana is less than heroin, marijuana should be downgraded. This completely ignores the realities of a drug that is causing enormous consequences of children and adults in our country, high schools, middle schools, and communities. Just last week, Bloomberg editorial board published an article emphasizing the sharp rise in marijuana THC-related traffic fatalities. One analysis, which is consistent with a HIDA report out of Colorado, a 10% increase in vehicular deaths. In California, the increase was 14%. In Oregon, 22%. Nearing 50% of the deaths on a highway, the driver had THC in their blood. And those are only the marijuana-related traffic deaths that we know about. We know that there are other problems. In your agency's analysis, you scrapped the long-held 5-factor test for determining a drug's medical necessity to simply 2 factors. 2 factors that relied on the fact that marijuana, as was reported, currently is accepted for medical use because it is prescribed by healthcare practitioners through medical marijuana programs. So, what I would ask you is, why did the FDA create a new, less rigorous 2-factor test to determine this when you know the reams of data and evidence suggest it's not only addictive, but it is contributory to not only death, but long-term stress of people who use this, and confirmed by the medical community?
Well, sir, I appreciate the question. I think you have already demonstrated between you and the other representative that there's not agreement in Congress about what should be done with this. And again, we would very much appreciate if Congress did come to a conclusion for the country. It would make our job better.
Congress has not spoken because we believe it's a dangerous product. We receive calls from thousands of parents every year about their children. We see drug-related not only incidents in schools, but principals, teachers, people report the real problem, and the problem gets even worse as gummies are introduced into the system.
I certainly appreciate those concerns. And let me remind you that a Schedule 3 does not put marijuana on the market in the United States.
No, it does not, but you do know exactly what it does do, and you've, through the
what we
FDA,
need
suggested that it's not a dangerous product like heroin. Well, neither were cigarettes like heroin.
Well, with all due respect, I think it is differentiable from heroin, and
I think
cigarettes,
it is too,
cigarettes directly
product.
Cause death. And I appreciate that you feel that way, and your colleague just gave exactly the opposite point of view.
She talked about the public opinion, not the medical opinion. You are a medical doctor, a cardiologist, and you are here to answer, and I thought you did do a fair job to answer that you do see where, when not used, properly, it is a dangerous product, and it is a dangerous product. And I thank you very much, and I appreciate you being here today.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I yield back my time.